Chapter 38 Lakeside. Eckhart POV. An afternoon by the lakeside with Eustace, Eckhart, and lots of fish to eat. Eustace, dragged in disreputable clothing that looked a lot like his commoner rags of old, stood at the edge of the woods and greeted them as they went up the sandy path. Standing as he was with the dark foliage of the forest behind him, his messy hair looked almost white under the bright sunlight. Kadir!
Wait, what? I thought I was reading the Eckhart.
No, what?
No, you're here.
You're Eustace, unless you
Oh,
guys changed.
Nope, sorry. You're here earlier than expected.
He said with a welcoming smile.
Glad you made it in one piece.
Breaking eye contact, he peered over at Myne's pale face and trembling form.
Though I must say, it seems you made it just barely.
He shot Eckhart a disapproving look, and Eckhart shrugged a little, but he made no excuse. In all truth, now that he felt how tremulous and cold her hand was, he was sorry that he'd flown like that through the valley and scared her. He would just have to find a way to make up for it later then. Eustace ushered them to the small clearing in the woods where he'd set up his camp, a spot that was very familiar to Eckhart, for the many, many times they had all been there.
You actually come at a very good time. I just came back from the traps and now I'm about to have some tea. Sit. Here, lady mine. You can sit here. It's the most comfortable spot of all.
Eckhart escorted Myne to the seat of dubious honor, an old tree stump. He was thankful that she did not kick up a fuss or complain about having to sit on something so rough or hard as any other lady would do. By the way, Akihana, could you mute yourself because I heard a lot of background noise? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. But then again, Myne was not your usual lady. Her golden eyes looked around curiously, noting the lack of accommodations. The small tent, the soot-stained pot on the campfire, the single attendant Eustace was traveling with, who was, at the moment, busy preparing the set tea. She turned to Eckhart.
You weren't kidding when you said that Lord Eustace would be roughing it.
Eustace, who had perched on a large round boulder, threw him a sideways grin.
Unlike some other people, I don't require kind comforts and an army of attendants to see my every need.
Eckhart rolled his eyes. He was not as fussy as Eustace made him sound. But, well, he was getting on in years, and he couldn't be expected to sleep on hard, pebbly ground under the stars as he had done when he had been much younger now, could he?
You ingrate,
He replied.
In that case, let me throw these bags into the lake, since you don't need these fine comforts, as you call them, including the, what was it you packed for him, Myne? Ham and cheese-filled pastries?
Eckhart was rewarded with the sight of Eustace going pale.
No, not the ham and cheese! Pastries!
Please rest at ease, Lord Eustace. There is no way Eckhart would throw the pastries in the lake. Not when he's trying so hard to carry Ella's favor. Why, if she heard that he threw her work away like that, she'd never cook him his favorite veal dish, nor send him home with treats and cookies ever again.
Eckhart did not want to admit that Myne was absolutely and completely right, so he turned away while Eustace blabbered on his usual nonsense.
My lady, you have earned my devotion and gratitude. I promise to assist you to the best of my abilities.
So easily bribed.
But it's the ham and cheese pastries. Come on.
You underestimate good food.
Right. Eckhart handed Eustace's attendant the satchel with the food that Ella had so painstakingly prepared for them, as well as the bag with extra supplies that Eustace had requested that he bring him. Books, an extra blanket, a couple of pairs of thick socks he'd forgotten to bring, replenishment of tea and food, and so on. Eckhart also took that time to discreetly chug down a rejuvenation potion. The flight had been draining, and even though it had been exhilarating to push himself to his limits at the final leg of the journey, it had come at a cost. When he returned to the conversation, Eustace was explaining his work at the camp, while Myne listened attentively. Eckhart was relieved to see that her color was coming back to her, and felt his own lips curve at the way her eyes widened in childlike wonder as Eustace explained about the sun and tears.
Every autumn they migrate down from Classenburg to the southern lands unknown. Flocks of snow-white birds with valuable earth elemental face stones that artisans use to craft all manner of tools. It's rare to find face stones so rich with earth and Ehrenfest, but the Sontiers anyway always stop here to rest in the cliffs up there.
Eustace gestured behind him with his thumb.
Once the moon rises, they take flight once more, while other flocks also come in flying from further north to take their place.
How is this year's harvest How has this year's harvest gone so far?
Eckhart said, sitting nearby. Eustace shrugged.
Not bad, but not great either. I spotted another 3 knights apprentices setting out their traps, yet they pretended to not see me when I greeted them. I wonder why.
Eckhart snorted, but decided not to point out that Eustace's outdoorsy clothes made him look like a commoner beggar. Obviously, people would want to avoid such a questionable person out in the woods.
But enough about me and my work. Time is of the essence. Shall we look at this manablade you mentioned?
Eustace said, shifting eagerly in his seat. But Myne shot Eckhart a worried, sideways glance.
Ah, not yet. She doesn't want Eustace's attendant to be present. That can come later.
He said.
Maybe after we take some tea. We're still getting our wind back after the flight.
Oh, yes, indeed. My apologies. I forgot that you must be tired. You must have left Ehrenfest before daybreak.
Just about.
Eckhart said, taking a seat in an old log.
Then please, have something to eat.
Eustace said, giving his attendant the signal to serve the refreshments, though the refreshments were mainly the food that Myne had brought and Eustace's favorite tea, which was much too strong for Eckhart's liking, and he guessed was less palatable to Myne. Additionally, there was no gauvache milk for Myne's tea, no delicately embroidered napkins, and no porcelain teacups. Eckhart's mother would have balked, but Myne took her tea without so much as a complaint, and Eckhart was relieved to see that her cheeks went pink as she contentedly sipped on her warm drink. What a sight! His water goddess, enjoying tea from a tin camping cup, and looking as poised and refined as if she were in his mother's parlor, when instead she was sitting on a tree stump in a sunny patch of sunlight in the middle of nowhere. The sight was odd, but then it really wasn't. Now that he thought about it, it somewhat fit Myne perfectly. He had begun to forget Myne's humble origins, and had come to regard her as a lady of the same standing as any of the other young women of his acquaintance. He'd come to enjoy spending time and getting to know noble Myne, but when it came to it, he also appreciated seeing these glimpses of commoner Myne peeking through on occasion. Eckhart sipped on his tea, losing track of the conversation that Myne and Eustace were having, thinking about how long it had been since he'd been up here and how little things had changed about this place, when he was snapped back to attention as Myne began to look very enthusiastic.
Do you think there are any?
She said to him.
Pardon?
Eckhart said.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of something else.
Eustace shook his head.
Lady Myne and I were discussing the fish in the lake. I was telling her that long ago we used to come here in the summer to hunt some down for their scales and such.
But Were the fish edible?
Edible?
He frowned.
I don't know. We dissected them for the ingredients and tossed the rest back into the lake.
Myne clutched at her head and gave a loud wail.
No! Why would you do that?
Eckhart had no answer to give, so he glanced at Eustace helplessly. Eustace was kind enough to explain.
My lady, the meat spoils quickly, and as we only ever traveled with the barest of essentials and no cooks, the thought of preparing fish meat ourselves to see if it was edible never really crossed our minds.
I see.
In any case, Gerard wouldn't even know how to go about preparing fish.
Eustace said, motioning to his attendant.
He's infinitely resourceful and skilled like no other, but that may be beyond his capabilities.
Myne perked up and clasped her hands in front of her.
In that case, may I give it a shot?
What? You, my lady? Right now?
Yes.
Myne said, glowing with eagerness.
You can leave the preparations to me.
Eckhart had a bad feeling about all this. Eustace was an eccentric who liked to poke fun at Eckhart on occasion, and Myne was too energetic and rushed thoughtlessly into something when she got an idea. Surely they wouldn't expect him to.
Eckhart, will you go get Lady Myne some fish from the lake?
What, me?
Eckhart said, feeling his entire body seize up at the thought of having to dive into the cold waters of Lake Hageldansl.
Yes, you.
Eustace said, speaking as if it was the most obvious thing in the world.
She's your lady, and as her lord, you should strive to please her.
Eckhart glanced at Myne, hoping that she would say,
Eckhart, I'd rather you not freeze your butt off in that cold lake.
or something along those lines. But to his horror, she was looking at him like a trained Sansi would beg for table scraps. What?
I'm sorry. I'm reading the line that you wrote for mine, and I'm glad that Butterfly ad-libbed that a little bit.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I kind of.
Oops.
That sounds so funny hearing someone as delicate as mine, or like the reader for mine is also
Well,
just say something that crude.
well, that's what Eckhart was hoping she would say. She would say, of course, using his own
Oh,
language.
yeah.
So that's not something that Myne would say.
Oh, definitely not. That is definitely not something she would say.
if Ferdinand heard that, he'd be like, "Who the fuck possessed you? Which god was it? It's not Miss Leonora."
Maybe she can? The prankster?
Oh boy. So no, she would not say that. Yeah. So thank you for cleaning it up a bit.
Mine? Please don't make me do this.
But she was looking up at him pleadingly with those luminous golden eyes of hers, and for the first time since he had known her, she was as close to begging him for something from the bottom of her heart. He wished that she'd asked him for jewels, or face stones, or more books, something that he could procure easily. But no, she wanted fish, of all things. Plus, he reminded himself, he had scared her earlier, so he needed to make amends in some way or another, even if it meant that he had to dive into the frigid water. He heaved a great sigh.
Very well, I'll get you some fish.
Yahoo!
Myne cheered and clapped. There was no trace of the dignified, noble Myne to be seen as she cheered, while Eustace looked genuinely stunned that he'd agreed to it. Ha! It was not often that he could actually surprise, let alone shock, that mischief maker. Eckhart handed his cup back to the attendant, undid his belt, and stepped out of his boots.
What kind of fish do you want? How many?
What? You're actually going right now?
She said.
Of course.
Eckhart nodded and unceremoniously pulled his shirt off, not wanting to stand around all day in wet clothes. He'd show Eustace that he did not need an army of attendants at all to baby him around and help him do things. He didn't even need Gerard's assistance. He did not, however, expect Myne to yell all of a sudden. He glanced her way and saw her eyes round as saucers upon his person. Eustace snickered, and that was when he realized what he'd been doing. He'd been stripping in front of Myne. Before he could say anything, she bolted from her seat.
I'm going to see what's over there. I thought I saw some interesting flowers.
She said, running to the other end of the clearing.
Be sure to not wander too far, my lady.
Eustace said, laughing uncontrollably.
There is all kinds of beasts over there.
Myne stopped in her
God.
tracks, as suddenly as if she had had an invisible tether around her, and she'd reached its limit.
Then I will stand right here until it's safe for me to turn around again.
Myne said, and indeed, there she stayed, while Eckhart hurriedly stripped down and then went down to the lake with Gerard in tow. The good man had offered to assist him, and Eustace sent them on their quest with peals of uncontrollable laughter. Fishing. Eustace, I love him so much. Fishing was a simple enough affair. Ordinarily, when fishing for ingredients, nets and traps were strung at night, and then they were pulled in early in the morning. But sometimes when they wanted to get some species that lived in the deeper parts of the lake, they needed to dive in to get them. Eckhart would have to use the latter method this time around. Luckily, the lake was chock full of the creatures. He dove into the lake's crystalline depths, summoned his staff as a net, and sliced through the cold water, filling the net with several fish. He picked fish that he recognized from past experience as simple to slay. He'd not try any of the more violent ones, or those who were known to have poisonous glands. After some time diving in the lake, he emerged from it with his catch, shivering and thankful that Gerard was there to give him a sack to put the wiggling creatures in. Once that was done, Eckhart cast washing on his person, slicked his hair back, and accepted the towel Gerard gave him. Then he dressed. He found Eustace and Myne deep in conversation, but the moment that she heard them coming up, she whipped around to face him, her face aglow with happy expectation. She bounded toward him.
Fish?
She asked happily.
Yeah, I got you some.
Eckhart said, pointing behind him at Gerard, who carried the bag.
I don't know if they're any good, so I caught you several kinds. Choose whichever you want.
Yeah, I'll be sure to prepare them well. Thank you, Eckhart. You're too good to me.
Myne said, giving him a smile unlike any other she'd ever given him. His breath hitched a little when she saw her smile up at him. That pure-hearted smile, so brilliant and overflowing with joy, aimed at him, caught him unaware. He'd seen Myne in all her feminine glory, dressed in beautiful gowns and adorned with jewels and ornaments to match the nobles around her. But this was the very first time that she took his breath away. He did not know what to say, as he did not understand what had just happened, so he nodded silently and put his hand on her head, mussing her hair a little. She laughed.
You'll ruin all the effort that went into my hair.
Damn, sorry.
He said, removing his hand. But before he could step away altogether, she caught his hand in hers and gave it a squeeze.
It's okay. My hair was already messed up from earlier anyway.
He smiled back at her, and then turned toward Gerard, who stepped forward and showed her the fish in the bag. She peeked inside, wiggling in excitement as she mumbled to herself, on occasion saying things and words he did not understand.
Oh, that looks like a panfish. It should be flaky and delicious. Oh, that's also this kind of fish is reminding me of salmon. If only we could smoke it, then we could take it back home. Oh, that looks like a bottom feeder. I hope it doesn't taste like mud.
She had apparently intended on dissecting and preparing the fish herself, but he put a stop on those plans of hers.
No,
He said.
some of these fish require special techniques to slice and cut them, so I'll do it.
Myne frowned.
You can't be serious.
Eckhart looked at her sternly.
I didn't choose the fish that were particularly violent, but I'd be more comfortable if you let me handle it.
Very well.
Myne said, looking a little disappointed. He had her stand a distance away, and again she complained, but had no choice but to obey. However, her disappointment changed quickly, and by the time he was done filleting, she looked at him in admiration.
Fishing and dissecting the fish is all well and good,
He said in a lowered voice.
but we can't forget the reason why we're here in the first place, Myne.
Myne blinked.
Oh, no worries. While you were out in the lake, I showed Veritas to Eustace. You were gone for a while after all, and we couldn't afford to waste time. Now, more importantly, let me show you how it is cooked.
Eckhart was not too sure about how he felt about the fact that Myne had already consulted Eustace about the manablade that he had made and that he had given her without him being there. But he knew that there were extenuating circumstances, and so he let it slide. And so even though he also wanted to understand what had happened, he decided he'd just have to ask later. The three crowded around the station Myne had designated for food preparation and saw her deftly prepare the fish. She needed no other seasonings other than salt, she said, and put the fish to cook over the campfire. The first pieces came out a little on the charred side, but the next batch was deemed satisfactory. They sat down to eat the fish. Myne was in raptures, and even Eckhart was surprised at how tasty the humble-looking meal tasted. They had some of the food Myne had brought along, and the four of them had a very delicious meal. Not long after that, however, Eckhart noted that they had to get going and fly back home.
Aww,
She
but
said.
we were having so much fun.
I know, I'm sorry.
He said.
But I want to get back to the city soon. It gets incredibly cold when you fly so high at night.
Eustace nodded, looking a little forlorn.
He's right. Maybe when summer comes around, we can all take a trip up here.
I suppose.
She said sadly.
I can't believe I have to wait a whole year before enjoying fish again.
Well, that fish was incredibly delicious, my lady.
Eustace said, bowing.
And I thank you for this singular treat. I doubt many people would have had the fortune of eating something you prepared with your own hands.
Myne's cheeks pinked with pleasure.
Let's not wait until until the summer. Then, once you're done up here, we'd love to have you for dinner or lunch, whichever you choose. Don't Don't we, Eckhart?
Won't we?
Won't we, Eckhart? I'd have some new recipes I would like for you to try, especially if you bring more fish as ingredients.
Eckhart nodded, feigning extreme reluctance.
I suppose I can't hug all of Ella's cooking to myself.
Eustace walked them back to the beach. Myne chattered happily next to Eckhart while Eustace trailed behind them, strangely silent. Eckhart didn't bother to ponder too much on why, though. He summoned his high beast and tied their bags.
Be sure to be especially careful with this bag.
Myne said, handing him the bag with the fish. She had prepared and cooked all the fish in the campfire, and as it had been too much for them to eat at one sitting, she had left Eustace and Eckhart some to eat for dinner, and she had packed away the rest in the now empty dishes that had been used to bring the food Ella had prepared that morning. Eckhart, now fully aware of just how much she loved her fish, was very mindful to tie it down carefully so it wouldn't budge on their flight home. At last, he helped her mount his high beast, and he hopped on behind her. Eckhart turned to say goodbye to Eustace, but there was a contemplative look in his fellow retainer's eyes as he regarded them together. Eckhart felt a stir of unease deep inside him, but he shoved the thought away.
Good luck with harvesting those birds. Be careful, you don't want to be bitten badly by one of them again.
Eckhart said, which caused the serious look in Eustace's eyes to vanish.
You don't have to worry about me. Be safe, you two, and Eckhart,
He gave him a stern look.
no more reckless flying, okay? Don't forget that you're her protector first and foremost. Do not upset Lady Myne with your nonsense.
Eckhart nodded at the reminder of his duty.
Don't worry, I won't do it again.
And Lady Myne, please consider we talked about earlier, won't you?
Eustace said with a gentle smile. Myne seemed to shrink within herself, but she nodded.
I will. Thank you for your help and advice, Lord Eustace.
What are they talking about? What did he tell her?
Eckhart wondered as they took to the sky again, cursing at the circumstances that had led to him not being there when they'd had the talk. He hated being left in the dark, and he wished he'd not been sent away to fish in the lake, but there had been no helping it. Despite having been in good spirits earlier, Myne was very quiet on the flight back. Just as they were at the point where the valley turned into a gorge, she turned around to look back.
What is it?
Myne smiled at. Eckhart said. Sorry.
Did you forget something?
Myne smiled at him.
Just wanted to have one last glance, just to confirm.
Do you need us to turn back?
Eckhart said, slowing down.
No, it's fine. I saw what I needed. Thank you, though.
They flew through the valley, past the misty waterfalls and the strange rock formations that he always imagined looked like giants. The mountains closed in around them until they finally reached the end of the valley and flew up and over the peaks, leaving behind the lush green valley behind. A gust of cool autumn wind met them up there, taking their breath away.
Oh, wow. While we were in the valley, I thought it was almost sundown. It's still early after all.
Myne said, voice full of admiration. Ahead of them, the sun still shone brightly, and the gently rolling hills, fields, and forests were bathed in the afternoon light.
You sound a little tired.
Eckhart said.
It's all cruising from here on out, so why don't you lean back and rest a bit?
Is it safe, though?
Myne turned, looking a little skeptical.
Don't worry, I got you. I won't let you fall.
In that case, I'll just lean back a little. Thank you.
Their flight back home was silent. Myne had said she wouldn't sleep and that she'd just rest her eyes. But in the end, she did end up falling asleep. Eckhart didn't mind the silence, but as he flew them back with only the wind in his ears and his thoughts running in circles in his head, he couldn't help but wonder what he'd missed out on over at the camp, and if perhaps Eustace had sent him away on purpose. Eckhart was a man of action and was no stranger to scrapes, cuts, and wounds from fighting and training. Somehow, though, he found that he was ill-prepared for the sharp pain he felt in his heart when he thought that perhaps, despite everything, Myne and Eustace deemed him unworthy of their trust. End of chapter. Note, Eckhart, honey, Myne trusts you so much that she let herself fall asleep in your arms on top of a flying wolf, knowing that you'd never let her fall. So, yeah, poor Eckhart, but honestly, come on. Next chapter, it's a Myne POV, the talk. And finally, a very important note, thanks to JC Fergie for his help proofreading and feedback. Where is Fergie? He left, but he was here with us. Thank you, Fergie, if you're watching the replay or whatever. Thank you so much for it. All right, so I saw some people in the comments. They're shipping Eckhart and Myne, but you guys, they're only friends, dude.
Yeah, sure, they're only friends.
For now.
Oh boy.
So that was the first chapter. We're gonna do another one. So I think my favorite part about this chapter was writing Eustace. He's so fun to write. And
Are you sure it wasn't the romance budding between Rosemine and?
there's no romance budding here.
Sure.
Romance. There's no romance. I don't see where you see it, you guys. This is friendship. They're friends.
Blue Anfa is dancing before them.
Do you think? I don't know. Do you think Eckhart maybe? But I don't. If anybody, maybe Eckhart. But we need to have a Myne point of view. Cause we know that she is head over heels for Ferdinand, right? And she wouldn't. Yeah, she's
already said that she gave up on him.
That's true. Honestly, though, I don't blame her. Who wants to be strung along by an unrequited love? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I got them all. Okay. Hi, Remy also says, ooh, jealous Eckhart. I don't know if jealous, but kind of hurt. At this point, he's not jealous. He's hurt. Hurt because...
Yeah.
Unless you guys read something else into it, but what I meant to write was that he's hurt because he feels that people don't trust him, or like people that he cares for don't trust him. He thinks that they purposely left him out of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of like a hurt puppy right now. Poor Eckhart.
I wouldn't be surprised if both Justice and Myne subconsciously drove him to go fish so that they can have a conversation outside of Eckhart's earshot. Like maybe Myne must have silently agreed to Justice's pushing because she knew that Veritas might say something in front of Eckhart that she wasn't prepared for him to listen to yet.
Right. And actually, they were going to talk about it, but when Eustace first approached the subject, Myne was worried because there was somebody else among them. There were 4 of them. There was Eustace, Eckhart, and Myne. They all know the secret that she is in love with Ferdinand. One person, though, doesn't know the secret, and that was Gerard. There's another person. So Gerard was sent off with the excuse of, Eckhart helping Eckhart fish or whatever. And then that was when she was able to like talk. So it kind of feels like it was to drive Eckhart away from the conversation, but it was actually the attendant. She doesn't want the attendant to hear about her sad love plight.
So,
Wait, which one of Ferdinand's retainers was called the murder puppy?
Oh, that's Eckhart. Come on. Eckhart is the murder puppy. Also, Red Tempest says they can become more than friends, Magpie. So I think Red Tempest is already like all aboard the Eggmine ship. Red Tempest has brought it up. Yeah, okay, so he ships them. Okay.
Magpie, come on. You've been very strongly at this.
yeah.
Okay. Then Hi Remy also says, I am guilty of it, Magpie. They're being so cute together. Yeah, they're cute. I think they're cute together. I mean, they can also be friends. At this point, they can still be friends, though. They can be cute and friends. Yes. They're trusting friends. Yeah.
She's already holding his hand.
There is far too much development here. There's no way they can go back to the friend zone.
Well,
And besides,
yeah.
there's also the fact that they wrote in tandem, and mine's no longer a little girl.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of factors. So I don't know. Should I do a poll? Who ships them and who doesn't yet? I'm interested. Let's do a quick poll. Ah, dang it! I can't do a poll here. Oh yes, I can start a poll. Yes. Shipping Eggmine? No. Just no. Okay, starting the poll. All right, the poll is up. While we do the poll, how about we get some reading done? This is a rather long chapter, so we probably should get started. I'll probably...
It's a landslide.
There's 89%. 89%.
Yeah, I was gonna say 9 votes so far, and it's already overwhelmingly in favor of the ship.
I kind of wish that there were more concurrent viewers. We're like in double digits, but less than 20 watching right now. So, I mean, we only have 10 votes. So, where are the other 4 people? Okay, 13 people. Somebody just left. All right. So, okay. I'm gonna end it. So far, though, we have a 90% shipping. All right. Okay. Fair enough.
I'm guessing that Magpie was the one dissenting vote.
I can't vote. Actually, I'm not allowed to vote. I can't vote. Sure. Red Tempest and Sunshine are all aboard. They bring up several things. There's the fish. There's the shirtlessness. You know what? It's. By the way, this is A World Away beach episode. So I hope you enjoyed it. Okay. Okay. So let's get this started. We have 14 slides to get through, so let's get it done.
Yee.
At least the female audience got that eye candy.
Right. The female gaze at work here. All right. Let's do this then. Chapter 39. Moonflowers. Mine point of view. It's been a long time coming, so now it's time for it. The talk. Myne woke with a start and felt Eckhart's arm, which was wrapped around her, tense reflexively at her sudden movement.
Awake at last, I see.
He said playfully.
I've never known anyone to sleep for so long while on a hype beast.
Myne murmured. Glancing around her, she saw that the sun was just about to kiss the western horizon. She must have been asleep since the middle of the afternoon.
How much longer until we reach Aaronfest?
Myne asked as she blinked and adjusted her eyes to the setting sun.
Unfortunately, it will be after the sun sets. With any luck, it will be sometime around 7th bell. How are you feeling?
Myne assured him that aside from being sleepy, as well as a little hungry, she was otherwise fine. She wasn't even cold thanks to her face-stone armor under the clothes. It seemed that Eckhart had not flown nearly as fast while she'd been asleep. Now that she was awake, however, she felt him accelerate dramatically, and suddenly the wind was louder, and as the clouds and the ground beneath began moving faster and faster. Despite just waking back up, they didn't talk much because it was much more difficult to do so now, and in the end they watched in silence as the sun set over the distant mountains way to the west of them. She marveled quietly at how, for just a moment, the clouds around them glowed golden pink before they took on a violently vivid red hue, which faded as soon as the god of darkness's cloak spread out over the sky above. The layer of clouds got thicker as a waxing gibbous moon rose in the east, glowing softly like a giant light violet pearl. Rather than fly through the clouds, however, Eckhart led his high beast higher, so that they found themselves skimming over a bright, silvery violet dreamscape that spread out as far as the eye could see.
Oh,
Myne exclaimed as she gazed at the shimmering expanse before her. She had not seen anything so magical in a very long time.
When it's rainy or gloomy, it's hard to imagine that up here, just on the other side of the clouds, one can get to see something like this.
Eckhart said as he looked about. Myne nodded, spellbound at the serene beauty that surrounded them. Even in her past life, she'd never even bothered to travel by plane, so this was the first time she got to see this view. The downside to flying so high, however, was that it was seriously cold, and it was somehow harder to breathe. And while the rest of her body was warm enough, her face and her hands felt like they were being stabbed by tiny little ice prickles. Eventually, they made it past the cloudy patch, and they were able to drop their altitude significantly. But as they did, and the clouds parted before them to reveal the nighttime world below, she noted that she noticed that sections of the forest were glowing.
Eckhart,
She
what
said,
is happening down there?
Where?
There.
Myne pointed.
Why is the forest glowing?
Oh,
Eckhart exclaimed once he saw what she was referring to.
moonflowers! Have you never seen them before?
No.
Myne cried out in delight.
They're a sight to behold. We can stop to check them out if you want.
Eckhart said while pulling back the reins on his high beast.
Well, how far from home are we?
I'm certain we're flying over Count Groshel's territory, so not very far at all. Do you want to see them, the moonflowers?
Myne pondered for a moment while Eckhart began flying lower over the glowing forest. As they flew, Myne realized with some shock that there was a particularly nostalgic scent in the air. What was that smell? Oh, it smelled like jasmine. Could it be? Suddenly, she wanted to see if these moonflowers were, in fact, jasmine. She turned and nodded to Eckhart.
I'd like to see them.
Very well. Let me find a spot where we can land safely.
He said, holding her tightly as they plunged downwards. They landed next to a river. Eckhart did not dismiss his high beast, however. He merely put something like a round shiny pebble on it that helped it keep its form. Then he helped her down.
It feels nice to move around a bit, doesn't it?
He said as he stretched and paced around trying to get circulation back into her circulation back into her limbs. Myne nodded and looked around her. They were surrounded by a dozen glowing trees whose pale lavender light cast a magical atmosphere to the world around them. Unfortunately, The flowery canopies were much too high for Myne to even hope to reach, so she had to be content to watch them from the ground. Except suddenly, Eckhart was undoing the clasp at his cloak and handing it to her.
Fine. I'm not cold at all.
She said. Eckhart gave her a wry look.
Hold on to it, please.
Then, as quick as anything, he was climbing up the trunk of the nearest tree into the first bough.
There. I can't reach that high.
Eckhart leaned down and extended his arm toward her.
Give me your hand. The view is marvelous from up here.
Myne groaned pitifully, but obeyed. She passed him his cloak first, and then let him pull her up. She ended up flopping on her stomach before slowly wiggling her body into position so that she could sit astride the large bough with her back to the tree trunk. She managed it, eventually, with Eckhart's help. She glanced above her and marveled at the large white flowers, and while she was a little disappointed that moonflowers were not jasmine at all, she admired the blooms all the same. They were closer to a variety of magnolias that had grown in one of the schoolyards in her previous life, except these large creamy blossoms were light violet at the base rather than pink, and turned white towards the tips, not to mention that they glowed from within. Thousands upon thousands of these blooms, and no one had ever told her about something like this existing. How unfair! Unfortunately, even though she had managed to climb the tree, the flowers were still out of her reach. Eckhart meanwhile stood and swung himself up to the next bough with enviable agility.
Come, Myne.
Myne did not trust herself to accomplish the feat, however.
Just stay here where it's nice and safe.
Eckhart smiled down at her, but was kind enough not to insist.
Very well. I'll gather some for you then.
She watched Eckhart summon his knife and cut the tender stalks that connected the flowers to the tree branches.
Are they called moonflowers because they only come out at night?
No,
He answered.
there's several other kinds of flowers that also do the same. These get their name because their color always reflects the color of the moon. So on the night of Shutseria, they'll be a vivid purple color, just as they'll glow pinkish red on the night of Flutrani. Most of the time, however, they glow a pale yellow color. But since the night of Shutseria is approaching in a few weeks, they seem to be already changing color for that.
Wonder if they have any properties
Particular.
I wonder if they have any particular meaning.
She mused out loud.
I don't remember them very I don't remember them very
Ever being mentioned.
thank you. Ever being mentioned during my noble training when they drilled me on flower meanings and such.
That's probably because noble women do not, in general, appreciate the meaning behind these flowers.
Eckhart replied, dismissing his knife.
What do they mean?
Myne asked, tilting her head a little in curiosity. Eckhart dropped back down to her branch and presented her a bouquet of moonflowers.
Ill-fated love.
Oh.
She looked at the dozen or so flowers he'd picked for her, then up at his blue eyes, and finally accepted them hesitantly. However, it appeared that Eckhart hadn't noticed that her enthusiasm for the flowers had waned, and he went on speaking.
Lord Vicentius, my horticulturalist friend, who knows all about plants and their meanings, refuses point blank to sell or give these away, though he planted many varieties of moonflowers all over his estate. Unfortunately, as nice as they smell right now, their scent is much better at dawn, just when they are about close just when they are about to close, or so I'm told. Still, even if their scent is not as strong as they can still be used. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. Still, even if their scent is not as strong, they can still be used for their healing properties. You can dry the petals and brew them in a tea, and they promote regular bowel movements, with help with flatulence, and, and even help with something the matter.
Myne was in the midst of a fit of uncontrollable laughter. It was stupid and juvenile, but when hearing how these tragic flowers help with party stuff, Myne had not been able to hold back a snicker of laughter. Of course, this was all terribly rude of her. Eckhart was being kind enough to share with her all he knew about these flowers, yet the more she tried to stifle her laughter, the more she laughed. Unfortunately, Eckhart did not appreciate the irony. In fact, he looked a little upset, and a small crease appeared in between his eyebrows. Myne reached out a hand reflexively and smoothed it away, just as she'd done for Ferdinand, what seemed like ages ago. Suddenly, Eckhart's watchful eyes were on her, and Myne remembered herself. She pulled her hand away from his face with a gasp.
I'm sorry. It's just, please don't be upset. I wasn't laughing at you.
You weren't?
No, I never laugh at you.
Myne replied. Then it suddenly struck her that while she might not laugh at him, perhaps other people already had. After all, she was sure that not many knights boasted such extensive knowledge in horticulture or even expressed an interest in flowers. She was immediately sorry that she'd laughed and set out to explain herself.
It's just so funny that these ill blooming flowers have such a funny medical application. Who would have thought that helping with those kinds of ailments, it just took me by surprise.
Eckhart was silent, but his face lost the tension that had been there earlier.
I see.
I'm sorry. I'd laughed at it. I'm sorry. I won't laugh at you again.
Myne promised, only to break said promise by snickering and laughing again like a fool. Fortunately, now that it was clear what she was laughing at, Eckhart also joined in. Once they quieted down, they sat companionably in their tree bough. Eckhart swung his feet as he looked up at the glowing canopy above them, and Myne leaned against the tree trunk, contemplating what she could do with the flowers. She was suddenly struck with the urge to make a coronet of sorts, and began weaving the blooms together.
Myne,
Eckhart said suddenly.
can I ask you something?
Yeah, anything.
She replied without looking up from her work. Hesitating for a moment, he asked.
What did Eustace say to you in camp while I was away?
She glanced up, surprised, and quailed as she stared into his eyes.
Do you really need to know?
Eckhart was still for a moment, and considered the question. Eckhart.
I know, I'm sorry. No,
He answered at last.
not really, but I would like to be worthy of your trust. I don't think I've done something that would make you doubt me, I hope.
No,
She said, leaning forward and placing her hand over his.
of course not, Eckhart. You are the best man I know.
Eckhart raised an eyebrow skeptically.
Yes, truly, I know. I have only gotten to know you, truly know you, for a few weeks. But I know without a doubt that you would never ever hurt me and that the sky above would fall before you'd ever do something dishonorable.
Oh,
A small pleased smile curved his lips.
I just got the impression that you and Eustace purposely left me out of a conversation I felt I should have been a part of.
Myne debated within herself. Eckhart had said he didn't actually need to know what they talked about, and he'd probably be okay now that she'd assured him that she trusted him. Yet, part of her demanded that she come clean and lay things out in the open. He deserved that much, and so did she, considering the circumstances. It would be an uncomfortable talk that should probably be better left for another time, preferably when they had a bottle of Dunkelfelger's finest to share between them. But maybe this was the best time after all. She swallowed with difficulty and took in a deep breath before she began.
I'll. I don't think it came as a surprise if I tell you that last year spring bloomed in my heart for Lord Ferdinand, and it still does.
Eckhart did not look very surprised. In fact, he confirmed it with a nod.
I only noticed it recently, but when I thought about it, I realized it must have been the case for some months.
How did you find out?
She asked, afraid of the answer, but needing to know it all the same.
I carried you to bed, and you murmured his name in a way that I've never heard you speak before. It sounded very affectionate and warm. Everything connected then.
Myne closed her eyes against the rush of embarrassment that swept over at his words. She must have been having one of those blasted dreams she always had. Eckhart continued.
Eustace and my mother had mentioned it to me, but up until then, I'd hoped that they were delusional.
Your mother knows as well?
She said, horrified.
Mine. Get used to the idea that nothing can ever be hidden from her.
She said, cradling her head with one hand.
Is it not enough that Ferdinand turned me down? Why must everyone else know about this stupid, one-sided love? I'm so embarrassed and I could die.
3 people know mine. That's hardly everybody.
It's all the same to me.
She wailed. Eckhart sighed.
You've had one shock. I guess you'd better get ready for another. Eustace also said that Lord Ferdinand also delights in spring for you. But for some reason, out of his own I'm sorry, but for some reason of his own, not willing to do anything about it. Of course, I wouldn't trust Eustace on that one, as I have never known my lord to be interested in anyone like that, and I've never seen any particular sign of it from my daily interactions with him.
Mine drooped.
I know, it's hopeless. But Lord Eustace insists that Lord Ferdinand cares for me. Not only that, he tried to make me believe that it might be possible to
Stir?
stir Ferdinand inevitably if
She hesitated. Suddenly she found out that she could not say the words. She could not do it.
If what?
Eckhart asked. Mine shook her head without meeting his eyes, busying herself with her coronet, with her flower coronet.
Mine, tell me. You said you trusted me.
I do,
She assured him.
but I don't want to say it. It's not fair to you.
Let me be the judge of that, if you please.
Eckhart said, and fixed mine with a stern look, prompting her to continue. In the end, she gave in.
Lord just suggested that you and I pretend to be in love, and that the next time Ferdinand comes over, that is during the dinner I'm hosting on the night of Caesarea, we should somehow make him jealous enough to decide that he wants me for himself after all.
Oh, Eustace. Eckhart looked stunned, and before he could call her a fool for even considering such a notion, mine rushed ahead.
Eustace told me to consider it, and I did. All this while I've been torturing myself over it, but I realized now that it would be pointless to do so. The plan just seems too high school drama. I will not do it. I don't want to play these kinds of games. That was what we talked about while you were gone. So you see, there really was no need to worry about it. Why should I bother you with all these with all this nonsense? Because it is nonsense. It is. Isn't it? There is no way, absolutely no way, that Ferdinand cares for even a little for me. And no way that we could
Manipulate?
manipulate him in such a way. And
Suddenly, she felt his fingers at her chin, and she was looking up at his face. He was so close.
Mine,
He said softly.
you're crying.
I am not.
she replied.
No, I'm not.
But when she blinked, she felt a warm stream of tears roll down her cheeks.
I'm not, truly.
He released her face. She started to wipe her tears with the back of her hands, only for him to lean over and wipe away those tears with his own handkerchief while murmuring words of comfort. He was very gentle, very thorough and attentive, and the warmth and sympathy in his eyes as he looked into hers brought forth fresh tears. Tears which he patiently dried as they came.
Eckhart.
Myne was able to say between sobs.
You're too good to me.
Myne said. She realized that she had said this earlier at the lake when he'd brought her fish, but this time she meant it with her whole heart.
You deserve to spend the rest of your days with a woman that loves you with her whole heart, who will adore you and give you everything you deserve. A true noble who will bring honor, being honor to you, and who you can present to the world properly. Not some commoner girl who will likely pine for another man for the rest of her life.
Eckhart paused, and she saw a flash of emotion contort his features briefly.
There was already such a woman for me,
he said with quiet sorrow as he looked into her eyes.
but she's gone, Myne. And I don't intend to waste the rest of my days trying to find her replacement. Wait, why are you crying again?
Myne could not help herself. In fact, she began crying so loudly that she was close to howling, not caring if she was acting like a mad woman. But there was no other way to express the pain she was experiencing at the moment. She wasn't crying for herself or for her own ill-fated love. She was crying for him, for Eckhart, for this good, honorable man with the heart of gold. Because for the first time she understood, at least in part, the kind of pain that he lived with daily and the deep sense of loss that he carried inside him. Living in quiet resignation was difficult. Some days were fine, but others were horribly painful. And it was only now that she understood that to live as he did required an unimaginable strength. Why was the world so unfair? Why were the gods so damnably cruel? Eckhart scooted closer, and while he couldn't hug her, he placed his arm around her so that she was able to lean on him as she cried.
Myne, what's gotten into you?
He murmured.
Is this because of what I said?
Myne nodded, unable to speak through her tears. Eckhart sighed.
I'm sorry. I should have been less direct, or maybe more direct. I don't know. Listen, can you stop crying just a bit for me to tell you something?
I can. I try,
She stuttered.
but I can't help it. I just can't bear the thought that you are in so much pain and your life is so miserably sad.
She broke down again, consumed in her sadness over Eckhart's plight, only for Eckhart's shoulders to begin shaking.
Laughing at,
she exclaimed, outraged that he'd be laughing at such a time.
You, Myne,
he said with a grin.
You're so worried about me, and it's very sweet of you, but I assure you that I'm fine. More than fine.
You are?
She looked up at him and examined his face, hoping that he meant what he said.
But...
Eckhart smiled at her.
Look, the pain of losing Hyde Marie and my unborn child is still there, and I imagine I will always feel it to some extent, but it no longer tortures me or consumes me as it did for so many years. I no longer feel like I have to atone for their deaths by denying myself anything that could bring me happiness. And it's all because of you.
Myne gasped.
Because of me? How?
Eckhart paused and thought for a moment.
I don't suppose.
He said at last.
I don't suppose you remember that prayer we had to send the spirits off? That day, something inside me, a tangled mess of anger, hatred, frustration, and hopelessness, went away. It all vanished with the light of the rising sun. And for the first time, I knew I could face the future without bitterness. I'd never have been able to get to this point had it not been for you. In fact, I'd never have been able to support you as you fought for your Veronican friends had it not been because of that. And I'm sorry to say that I would have let them be cast off without a qualm. I could have actually I would have actually celebrated the downfall of any Veronican, even if they had never done me any harm. I was that consumed in hatred.
Myne looked at him wistfully. She marveled at how, in the space of a few weeks, days actually, he had changed so dramatically, and only wished that she could also have that as well. But as it was, Eckhart continued on, speaking with serious earnestness.
I don't I'm sorry. I need to start that one over. I don't presume to understand the depth of your feelings for Lord Ferdinand. And I'm guessing you'll need time before you can come to terms with your heart. Who knows, maybe Eustace is right, and Lord Ferdinand does in fact love you.
Doesn't.
Myne replied with some bitterness, but Eckhart kept going.
His own. He's not a bad man. And I'm positive that there is a reason for all of this. But however it all plays out in the future, I hope that if you need help, you can count on me for anything. Truly mine. But you are right. I don't wish to partake in Eustace's crazy scheme. Playing games will not be effective. And what's more, I respect Lord Ferdinand's decision on the matter.
Myne swallowed the lump in her throat and clutched his hand tightly.
I understand.
She felt tears spring to her eyes and sighed.
I just want to live. It's all I want. Nothing more than that.
His brow furrowed in confusion.
What do you mean?
I want to move past this. My unrequited love for Ferdinand.
She looked into his eyes.
There is no hope left for me. Yet it's taking my heart some time to overcome it. And it's taking a toll on me. It doesn't help that there are all kinds of other emotions wrapped up in this love. Again, anger, bitterness, and even mortification over what I did to make him love me. Oh, you'd be ashamed of the things I said and the things I did.
She closed her eyes, remembering the disastrous encounters she'd had with Ferdinand.
I'm horribly ashamed of myself because of it. I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes again, and that's the truth. Reason that the true reason I will not go with Lord Eustace's plan. Besides, it would never work. So now all I want is to build a future for myself. I want to have a family of my own to love and care for. I want children too, as well as many uh, as many books as possible. Books, not children.
She laughed a little at her slip-up and continued.
I want to be happy and share my happiness with the people around me.
Eckhart was silent for a moment, and then he asked, timidly,
Am I included in that future of yours?
A wave of affection rushed over Myne. She wanted to give him a great big hug to reassure him, but of course she couldn't because she was balancing on top of a tree bough, so she opted for the next best thing, which was to reach out and gently stroke his cheek.
I can't imagine it without you. That is, if you're willing to put up with me, and if you're fine with the fact that there might that there's might never be a time when I don't love Ferdinand, even if it's just a little bit. Is that something that you think you can accept?
Eckhart looked into her eyes and answered with a question of his own.
Can you accept that there is a part of my heart that is reserved for a woman that's no longer among the living? I don't think I will ever be able to forget her, and I don't think I want to.
Myne nodded.
Of course, I never dream of taking her place.
In addition to that,
He continued.
I am oathbound to, as my master, he will always come first. Is that something you could accept?
That was a little more difficult, but as Myne thought about it, it was not so very different from her case. She, too, would continue to be devoted to Ferdinand in her own way. She nodded.
In the end, all I really want is the best for Ferdinand. I wish him to be happy just as much as you do.
Well then,
he replied as he took her hand from where it rested against his cheek and brought it to his lips. He planted a kiss on her knuckles.
Consider me yours.
Myne's cheeks warmed.
Can you wait for me? I'm not quite ready for that, but...
She looked away, embarrassed. Oh, gods. One day, she'd end up sharing her life, her days and her nights, with this man. They'd have children. Multiple children, too. Why did that thought have to come to her now? Eckhart laughed at her embarrassment, and Myne chided him. He apologized, but he laughed all the same, not looking contrite in the slightest. They,
Aw.
they sat for a little while longer, holding hands and talking. Hold on. But unfortunately, as it was getting late, Eckhart reminded her that they had to go. He dropped to the ground gracefully, and Myne realized when she looked down that her coronet of moonflowers lay at the base of the tree. It must have fallen while she'd been crying. Eckhart picked it up for her. Then he glanced up and lifted his arms toward her.
Jump down, Myne. I'll catch you.
Myne trembled at the thought that she had to leave her safe perch, and that the only way to do so was to jump down. Letting herself drop like that was no small thing to ask, but she realized that in all the world there were only 3 people that she really trusted to catch her. One was her own father, the other was a man who probably hated her by now, but he'd catch her all the same. And the other one was right there, smiling up at her, arms stretched out at the ready. She counted to 3, took a deep breath, and jumped, screwing her eyes shut, ready to break into pieces. But of course she didn't break. Her feet didn't even touch the ground. After all, Eckhart had been there to catch her, and he was now carrying her effortlessly. She opened her eyes and found herself looking into his blue eyes. He held her there for a few heartbeats, looking deeply into her eyes before smiling at her and putting her down gently.
Don't forget this,
he said, placing the flower coronet in her head.
I realize this may not be the most suitable gift to give you, given the meaning of these flowers, but you know I never pay attention to the flower meanings. I think if the flower is in season and it's pretty, then it's fine to give to the people who one cares for, right?
Myne nodded in agreement. He led her back to his winged wolf, and just as he was about to help her mount, he exclaimed,
Oh, I never asked. What did you used to say about the manablade?
Myne chuckled.
He was as stumped as all of us. He agreed that with you that it should be cast into the lake, but you'll be glad to know that I found a use for it after all. And I finally found a way to make it to shut up.
That's marvelous.
He exclaimed as he helped her up.
Of course you would figure it out yourself. You're one of the smartest people I know.
Myne beamed and felt a warm, giddy sensation rush through her. And this time, it wasn't because they were about to take flight. Eckhart hopped on behind her, held her close against him, and they took to the starry sky above them. Unfortunately, as they flew higher, Myne's moonflower coronet was suddenly carried away by the wind. Eckhart cursed, and Myne realized by the way the high beast had altered course that he was intending to go back to get it. She placed a hand over his and gave it a gentle squeeze.
Fine.
She assured him.
It will be impossible to find it in the dark, even if it is made up of glowing moonflowers.
Sorry.
Eckhart said, as if it was his fault.
Are you sure you don't want me to go back?
Myne shook her head.
Don't worry. There'll be other flowers.
He always brought her flowers. Even last winter, that awful, awful winter, when she had been nursing a fragile hope that Ferdinand might summon her yet. And Ferdinand had started coming to see her every week to court her. He'd never failed to show up with flowers. She was sure that he'd keep up this adorable habit, especially now that things had changed between them. Myne felt Eckhart's sigh. He wrapped his arms tighter around her, nestling her body closer to his strong, muscular one, and then lowered his head so that his lips were tantalizingly close to her ear.
Are you up for a bit of fun? I can get us home as quick as anything. But if you're not up for it, it's fine too.
Myne could hear the eager smile on his face and knew that he really, really wanted this. She hesitated for a moment, debating inwardly, before she decided to give him this.
Fine,
She said.
but slow down when you have to make turns. All right?
Understood.
He said, leaning low over his high beast with her in his arms.
Hang on tightly.
He called out as he whipped the reins of his high beast and showed her that they'd not been flying nearly as fast as they could have been all that time. Despite the frightful, ungodly speed at which they streaked through the night sky, Myne thoroughly enjoyed the last leg of the journey. It was likely because it was just a straight run, and because the knowledge that she was going home made it all so much better. Probably that was why she was overjoyed when they finally caught sight of the city, just as a distant sound of seventh bell chimes ringing from the temple and the city gates echoed off the hills around them. Eckhart pumped his fist triumphantly.
All right! Just like I told you, seventh bell.
Myne laughed in spite of herself, but then yawned as they circled over the now familiar Med Nobles district that she now called home. As his high beast landed in front of her house, she suddenly felt the day's exhaustion and emotions catch up with her, and she wanted nothing more than to plop into her bed. Fran and her small army of servants came out to receive them, and she had just enough presence of mind to thank Eckhart and bid him good night before she gave herself over to her attendants and their care. She almost fell asleep in the bath, dozed off as they dried and braided her hair, and was totally out before her head hit the pillow. She woke from a dreamless sleep at around second bell, only to find Delia placing a vase of flowers next to her bed. Her attendant had been very quiet, but Myne had woken up all the same.
Moonflowers? Impossible. Am I dreaming?
No, not a dream. They were very much real, and still wet with morning dew. Their aroma was far more potent and more wonderful than it had been at night, just as Eckhart had said. Myne smiled at the sight of such loveliness, then closed her eyes again, intending to sleep for another bell. As she burrowed deeper into her soft covers with a sigh of contentment, she couldn't help but chuckle a little at the thought that Eckhart had flown back to the forest sometime at dawn and gathered a new bouquet of flowers for her to make up for her missing coronet. Of course he would. That silly, adorable man. End of part 4. End of chapter.
And you said you weren't shipping them.
Ah! Well, I had to, yeah.
Especially with the author notes.
Author notes. What are the author notes? Thanks for looking up for Eggmine. Will this ship sail? Find out next time as we start part 5 of the story. Thanks for reading and your comments. Each one fills me with great delight.
I gotta say, the entire time they were on the high beast, I couldn't help but think, a whole
yeah,
new
yeah, yes,
world.
yes. I am glad that you thought, because I was thinking of that when, especially when they're above the clouds and it's like this cloudscape. That's what I was thinking.
I also love the turnaround between like Eckhart and Myne, like laughing at each other and getting offended.
Silly gooses. Yeah. So,
And most importantly of all, I have one thing to say.
Mhm.
Round of applause for Butterfly.
Butterfly! Everybody
that's
here
what
was awesome. But
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to say. It's like, god damn, I really felt the emotions when she was reading it.
Yeah, dude, like I had like a little tear. And I think there are people on the chat also. Yeah, I think Sunshine was also saying the things. Hi Remy said the shakiness of Butterfly's voice is making me more emotional, right? I just want to share with you guys, like, let me brag, okay? Let me brag, you guys. I got freaking fan art for this fanfic, okay? Oh my gosh, and memes. Okay.
Yes, Yukihime.
Okay.
We were watching it being made live.
Right? All right. Also, I have to say, you guys, if there's any credit to be, you know, I am the one that created the Eggmine ship, okay? Nobody else did it. I'm the one that
Yes.
went ahead and created the Eggmine ship, okay? Just saying.
Oh god, you're starting to sound like Nintendo
we-
shutting down fan games.
Oh, we've been prideful here.
So, let me see. I'm just trying to get my little windows in order, I think. Okay. I think.
It sounds better though, Mineheart.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But it's Eggmine, right? So the first thing is when I first posted this chapter, it got a lot of comments and a lot of traction, and people did do fan art. So this is from beautiful artwork inspired by this chapter. This one was by Dragon Council 121 over on AO3.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so Moonflower Time. And also Silent Mage 6. I just love how everybody's rendition of how they imagined it is unique, but it's so like magical either way. It's like magical. Also, let me not forget to point out that yes, as ever, my most profound thanks to JC Fergie. Not only does he catch typos, double spaces, and helps with improving wording, but he also points out plots that might move a story in a nonsensical direction. Ever thankful for his sage advice on this particular chapter, because you guys, I was going to do the pretend relationship trope. I really was. Right? Remember, Fergie?
Teal. I love your puns.
Yeah.
Be still, mind beating heart. Nice. So Fergie and I had a conversation about it. I was like, yes, pretend relationship, let's go. And Fergie, you said something like too much high school drama. And I was like, but
Yes.
but okay, you guys, here's the thing. If we were going to make Ferdinand jealous at seeing them be lovey-dovey, and they weren't going to pretend, then I had to actually put in the work of making some kind of romantic relationship bloom between them. So that's why this fanfic extended as long as it did, because I had to then lay the groundwork in order for the Night of Shutsaria chapter to happen. So yeah, so since we decided that I was not gonna do pretend relationship and that I was gonna have them full on have a romantic relationship, and then have Ferdinand look at them and say like, blah blah blah, you know, his just desserts, then I was like, I'm gonna have to work on it. So you guys are now gonna be treated to chapters and chapters of healing and talking, and hopefully it's good. Also,
I love when an author puts in the effort to make things actually make sense.
but it's hard. It's hard.
I know it's hard, but it's worth it.
Uh, I also want to point, yeah, it is hard, and I had to like really delve deep into like, you know, emotions and stuff. By the way, I want to also share. I'm showing fan art with that Yukihime did. Oh my gosh, Yukihime, this is so cute. She just made it today, you guys.
Thank you.
He's covering her with his cape, you guys. Oh my god. So cute. So cute.
Beautiful, beautiful artwork.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. I wish I could draw, you guys. But you know what? With these artworks, it's okay. It's okay. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Look down. Look down to the last one.
The last one, did you post something else? Okay, let me go back.
Yeah.
Okay, I see a meme by Red Tempest. I'll show the memes. Don't you worry. I'll show the memes, Red. Oh, okay. Hold on. We also have a pencil. Are you gonna finish it? You are? Are you?
Yes.
Okay. He's putting the crown on her. Oh gosh. Oh. Okay, I am in love.
And another one.
There's another one? There is? Oh my god.
Oh, it's
Yes.
a JPG.
Oh, it's a JPG. Okay, let me get it then.
It's not good.
Ooh.
By the way, you guys, what do you guys think of the symbolism of the moonflower? Remember, we said the moonflower is ill-fated love. But whose ill-fated love is this? And should we take the symbolism seriously? Or do we just say, like, it's not Eckhart and Myne, it's Ferdinand and Myne? So what do you guys think of
I
that?
say it's for. I say it's for mine.
For Myne? Okay. Yes, Kadir?
Yeah, my opinion is just taking the phrase "what's in the name" riddle and just applying it to this is like, what's in a name? Only what you put in it.
True. That's true. I think that's from like Romeo and Juliet. So it's probably not the best quote
That's
to
I
draw
got
from.
that from the Riddler,
Oh,
like the Batman comic book villain.
oh,
The bard says, "Would a rose by any other name smell as sweet?"
oh yeah, something like that. There you go, the bard. Or maybe we should just say like Fergie does in the chat, stupid flowers. Who cares about their meaning?
But yeah, Magpie, there's.
Hmm?
Oh, sorry.
What's up? No? Nothing, Kadir? Okay. By the way, I am showing, I love this. Look at her, how she jumped so high and he caught her in his arms. And oh my gosh. So
Yes.
beautiful.
Magpie,
Huh?
Akihana's trying to say something.
What's up?
Did you mute her?
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry, Akihana. There
Yeah,
was
we-
just
we
so
don't
much
want to
background
hear
noise.
you.
There was so much
I thought
background
Magpie
noise.
was ignoring me.
No, it wasn't. There was so much background noise. I had to mute you while we were reading. Sorry about that. What's up?
Okay.
What's up? Tell me.
It's about the symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
In my theory, my theory or my understanding of it is that the moonflowers, the ill-fated love, is probably all three of them.
Okay.
And then I also mentioned in the chat how the coronate was blown away by the wind.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, was that a symbolism for Shitsaria blowing away their ill-fated love?
Mm.
Yes. Positive thinking.
Yeah, right. I love it. I didn't even think about Shutsaria, the wind
The
blowing.
ship must sail. The ship must
The
sail.
ship must sail. By the way, I am just downloading the memes from Red Tempest because they are glorious. Okay, Red, you outdid
Oh, yeah,
yourself.
I just want to say it's like, well, now your fan fiction has received fan art.
Yes.
It's like the only other milestone I could think of for a popularity of a fan fiction is to have other people write in the same universe based off of your fan fiction.
Well,
Yep.
I will have you know there are two fan fictions that's kind of like stemmed off from this one, and just because reasons
Made by other people?
made by other people. Yeah, there are. There's
Oh
two.
my god.
Mhm.
They're
Damn,
crazy.
you literally got
They
every
are
fan fiction
crazy.
milestone.
Yeah, but those two are actually crazy. Like, genuinely.
They are rather.
Oh damn.
They are rather. So proceed with caution. Well, one of them is crazy. The other one is like, okay, I get it, I guess.
What
But
kind of crazy are we talking about here?
Okay,
explicitness,
listen.
probably. Okay, go ahead.
Listen. It's so she, okay, Eckhart. So we have a love triangle between Eckhart, Rosamine, and Ferdinand. Why don't we put all three together?
Oh yeah,
Oh, God,
that's it. That's
why?
enough. That's enough. That's enough. Remember, sometimes my mom listens to these. Okay, so I don't know when she might be
Yes,
listening. That's
And
that is
your mom.
that is enough.
that is cursed. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So
That's all.
yeah. But they're out there. See, the thing was, like, it took me 2 years to get to almost finishing this. So in between updates, sometimes a month would go by and people were like, I don't like this chapter and how you left it here. You broke my heart. So I needed to write something to heal my heart. So that's how things ended up happening. So I understand. So, I mean, we got fan art, we got fanfic of the fanfic. We're doing a podfic. So yeah, it's fun times. Who would have thought that something that was born in my brain would end up having so much stuff? Cool, and being so
You
long.
say the same thing about this very group and channel.
That is true. Hey, I tell you.
I'm sure there are many art or authors who they're very surprised when their titles grow in popularity, and they're just like, I didn't expect any of this. It's just a weird little doodle I did.
That is true. Same here. So yeah, it makes my little bird heart so happy to know that you guys are, following with this crazy story, this crazy ship that I'm sure you guys probably didn't see coming, but I am overjoyed that 90% of you are all aboard the Ekmine ship. Ooh, getting moonflowers. Nice. So
But then, I just couldn't help laughing at the toilet flowers.
the toilet flowers. Oh yes. Who was it that posted toilet flowers? Because remember, they help with potty stuff.
That was me.
Was that you?
Me.
That was you?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So the poor Eckhart. So his mom has made fun of him for being into flowers. All he wants to do is just share his knowledge, and people are making fun of him. Even his co-workers are like, yo, you're weird. So when Myne started laughing, he was like, oh, she's gonna laugh at me again. And that kind of hurts people.
Yeah.
So she had to,
PTSD.
yes, yeah. So she had to assure him that it was not he that she was laughing about. It was the flowers. So just people are people. Yeah, I wouldn't blame her for laughing, honestly. I mean, he actually said those things with a straight face. He's like, yeah, they help with constipation, they help with flatulence. Like, he said that with a straight face.
I mean, as a trivia person, it's really easy to get lost in the details and forget about how the details might sound to outsiders.
Yeah.
Sadly, I know this from experience.
Same.
Well,
Same.
it is a little bit of
I-
mansplaining, but Myne was okay with it. Akihana?
I don't think Eckhart even realized what he was saying sounded very funny to someone else. Like he was describing poopy flowers in a fake face.
Poopy flowers.
Well, he needed it for it to be spelled out to him.
Yeah. And so
Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I finally completed my thought. It's like, yeah, Akihana, the way you expressed emotions, the only other comparisons I could think of is like passion project animes like Violet Evergarden
Oh, Violet Evergarden.
or Maiden Abyss.
How I express emotion?
Evergarden. Man, don't talk to
what
me
do you
about
mean?
Violet.
I think he was talking about Butterfly.
Oh, Butterfly. Oh yeah, but when Butterfly was reading with all the emotion,
Yeah.
so cute. Yeah, I loved it so much. Just that crying, and Patrick, you also did really really good with doing the various nuances to Eckhart, because he's supposed to be serious and huffy at one point in the chapter, but he also then just laughs at her. He just laughs at her for, weeping. Because she's like, your life is miserable and sad. Like, honestly, she told him to his face, you live a miserable, sad face, and I feel sorry for you. Like, honestly, girl.
It's like, imagine your love just going to your face and saying, you are a miserable person.
Right? Yeah. So he finds humor in that. He's like, yeah, okay, I get it, I guess, but it's not that bad. Like, come on, it's not like I live in tragedy.
Don't try and deny it.
So
Also, when he just tried to like jump in the pool in front of Rosamine.
when he took off his shirt. Yeah.
Did you show the did you show the shirtless meme?
Yes, I did. A fish for my lady. Yes, of course. Yeah, it's golden. I love it.
I mean, the Kylo Ren moment, and even though I don't like that movie, that Kylo Ren moment was perfect for that meme.
Yes.
It also reminded me of Pride and Prejudice when he gets out of the lake.
Oh! Somebody make the meme. Somebody make the meme. Somebody make the meme. Little butterfly, little butterfly, little butterfly. You know what you have to do, right?
It takes time to make memes like that. I have to find all the materials.
Well, whenever you're able to, it would make me greatly happy. Divine stool. Red Tempest.
Yep.
Bringing it back. Man, will you guys ever let me forget? Like,
Oh hell no!
jeez.
No.
You are an impertinent bunch.
I don't even know what we're teasing you about, but I'm not letting you forget it.
See, Kadir, you've been missing out on a lot.
Red Tempest just posted emojis of poop and flower, and then there's a star and then flower. I wonder what meme he's going to make next.
I
A
don't know.
flower on a toilet.
I have no idea. Don't get him started. Do not get him started.
Oh, give him plenty of ideas. I love his memes.
All right, you guys. Guess what? You guys? It is almost 6:00 here, which means that this stream has been going on for almost 2 hours. So, while I am super enjoying this, we do have to wrap this up, you guys. I hope.
Yes, and I need to get to bed.
Yeah. We stuff to do. I do hope that you join me today's Wednesday. Oh no, we won't be reading until Monday. Yeah, we will have an interlude. Shall I tell you whose interlude it is? We have an interlude. I won't tell you where. It's an interesting one. And then we start part 5, you guys. Ooh, part 5. For those of you who are following this one, yep, it's the start of that part. So, the Ekmine ship.
Good luck, Patrick.
The Ekmine ship is sailing, or has just left port. But honestly, you guys, it's not all easy and straight sailing. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Find out when we read part 5. But before that, we have to read interlude, which is actually pretty important to the story. Anyway, but that's all for Monday. I hope you join in. It'll be Monday at around 1 p.m. Pacific. So do be sure to join us for that. Let's see, what else? Today, reading, we had Kadir, who did an amazing Eustace. By the way, when he was saying, like, not the pastries, I wanted to laugh so hard. Say it again, Kadir, not the pastries.
Not the pastry. Nah, I can't say it. There's like people around my room now, so they would yell at me pretty soon.
Just do it. Fine. We won't out you out like that. Okay. Eustace was read by Kadir. Eckhart was read by Patrick, and mine was read by Little Purple Butterfly. So happy, you guys, that you... Oh my gosh. It's here, you guys. It's here. And memes were made by memes were made by Red Tempest. Beautiful artwork by Yuki Hime. Oh my gosh, this was such a wonderful, wonderful day to read together with you guys. I told you guys would enjoy this. I know I did. But these 2 chapters were, yeah, I was really looking forward to this. Also, if you guys notice the thumbnails, do you guys see the flowers? Those are the moonflowers. So now you know why we had flowers in blue as a background. Because, yeah. All right, you guys. I will leave you with this image of Darcy Eckhart coming out of the lake, saying, "I have your fish, Myne. Oh my gosh, be still, my beating heart."
Perfect.
It's perfect.
That's what I was imagining.
Yes. This is
You mean the one that says a fish for my lady?
Yeah.
For once, I'm actually kind of glad that Noemi's not here.
Somebody would have probably blown out their microphone. Yeah. All right, everybody. We will leave you with this beautiful sight. We will see you on Monday. Hope you join us. Or if you want to hop on over to the server, we do get together during the weekend and chat and watch movies together. So hop on over to my Ko-fi page, become a member, only $5 a month. That's like the price of your coffee order. Just get on over here, make better friends. We're already your friends, but get to know us better. You can ping me and I will answer to you in the middle of the night because you're special. And you will get, preferential treatment because I will recognize you and read out your comments more often, I believe. Anyway, or you can just join us and read on Monday. All right.
Parasocial relationship.
That is all for today before these people get too rowdy. Say goodbye, gang.
Goodbye, gang.
Bye.
Bye. And also,
Bye.
Teal, thank you
You
so
remembered.
much. Teal.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
I heard your voice and I remembered. Everybody, claps with Teal. She made the highlights for this late last night. Teal, darling. Without you, this would not have been possible. So thank you, Teal, so much for that.
Yay, Teal.
Yay, Teal.
Oh, did you plug your channel yet?
I did.
Subscribe.
Like,
follow
subscribe,
Magpie.
comment. Yes, do it.
Give her your money.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right, everybody. Let's get time to go. Take care, everybody. Good night, or have a good rest of your afternoon, wherever you might be. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh no.
Oh no.
What was that? Oh no.
Emotional.